Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. And let it be known, there is a lot of news this morning. Claudine Gay is going to stay on at Harvard. They fought for her and she is remaining. Teachers and other professionals are being outed and fired for moonlighting on OnlyFans. Do they have any legal recourse? And who are the people that's outing them? Really interesting. We'll talk about that this morning. And the chairman of the board is not going to jail. Yeah, y'all remember the chairman of the board back at the Montgomery Boat Brawl, the guy who used the chair for justice. he, he was sentenced yesterday, and he's not going to jail. Also, new vehicles. The government is now requiring new vehicles to soon place devices in the cars, in the vehicles, to prevent someone from drinking while driving. How are they going to do that? We'll see. Illinois State University has apologized after at least one of its fans, and it was a bunch of them, was accused of hurling racial slurs at a black player for Norfolk State University during a basketball game this past weekend, which led to a confrontation between the team's coaches. Interesting, right? Real interesting. But first, we begin with some sad news in the world of Hollywood and those who are fans of Andre Braugher, the 61-year-old actor, has died. Undisclosed illness is what his publicist is saying, but Andre Braugher was celebrated for his compelling performances in iconic television series such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Homicide: Life on the Street. Jennifer Allen, his publicist, broke the news that the two-time Emmy winner had died. He had gained widespread acclaim for portraying Captain Raymond Holt in the police procedural comedy Brooklyn Nine-Nine from 2013 to 2021. His character, an officer who appeared tough but displayed his care for all, was paired with Andy Samberg's Detective Jack Peralta, the polar opposite of Braugher's character, Holt. Many may recall his role, though, as Detective Frank Pembleton on NBC's Homicide: Life on the Street, which earned him the title of lead actor Emmy. In 1998, he won that lead actor Emmy. When he departed from the series, he got the award. It's always give it to you afterwards. he had earned it, right? They gave it to him after he left the series. But in the critically acclaimed police drama that Barry Levinson and David Simon created, Andre Braugher stood out because of his intense performances. In addition to his Emmy successes, Andre Braugher received acclaim for his role as a master criminal in the FX series Thief, for which he earned another Emmy in 2006. His multifaceted career prompted reflection on the complex portrayal of police officers in the media, as discussed in a 2020 article which he did, where he emphasized the need to address the depiction of law enforcement on television collectively. See, he did, and that was even prior to George Floyd. He was like, we got to show the real thing, what some of these guys do. Andre Braugher was born in Chicago. He graduated from Stanford University before going on to the Juilliard School, where he successfully pursued drama. His career began with a notable role as a Union soldier in the film Glory. I remember Glory, right? Wasn't that Denzel's film? He portrayed Thomas Searles, however you say it, who was a free black man who joined the 1st Black Regiment. From there, he just transitioned easily, it seemed, to television, appearing on shows like Kojak, Homicide: Life on the Street, Hack, and House MD. His versatility extended to the big screen, of course, where he left his mark with roles in films such as City of Angels, Frequency, Poseidon, Primal Fear, Duets, The Mist, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Salt, and The Gambler. His wife, Amy Brabson, who also starred with him in Homicide: Life on the Street, and their 3 children survive him. Andre Braugher dies at the age of 61. Yeah, he was such an actor, I tell you. He will be missed in that. So well, we really don't get a lot of great acting anymore. Folks just throw stuff together now. So Andre Brower is going to be missed in that realm. Gotta take a second just to um, segue for a minute to Kanye. Kanye, yay, or whatever. Kanye, some of the stuff that Kanye does, some people say, oh, you got he is mentally unstable. But then some of the stuff he does with intention, doesn't he? Because Kanye did something again. He had his listening party, Vultures, right? And from his new album, he had his kids from Kardashian with him performing, and Ty Dolla Sign and Offset. Everyone was there, and Kanye decides to come out and perform in a Ku Klux Klan style uniform. And this is a guy who just no matter how many when people get canceled, they're done. Kanye's been canceled more times than anybody collectively. The whole I mean, you just name all of Hollywood and music collectively, and yet, it's like, that's that crazy expression about kill him dead. Well, they kill Kanye, but they never kill him dead. Kanye, yeah, and you can't even say he got 9 lives. He's got more lives than you can count. But he came out with that KKK stuff. Don't even want to talk about what he rapped about, but um, he he wears this black hood on stage. Of course, the folks went on Twitter. They was saying that they were confused, they was frustrated, uh, and the fact that he's a black man with his white daughter standing next to him, as some said, or half white daughter. And I don't we don't have the footage, I don't think, but there's one he's actually performing well that with the whole gear. And even that picture there, I mean, come on. 596 says K Kanye, and I am more upset with the other rappers that stood by and said nothing. Exactly. Exactly. What Kanye gonna say? Don't look at me. He's like he walks down the street. You're not supposed to look at me. You're not good enough to look at me. This guy is, I mean, yep. Big Sis says everyone should have walked out. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is awful. It's awful. And so right, everybody should have walked out. So here's the other side of the coin. And folks who might want to defend this guy and those guys that was there. What if Eminem would have walked on that stage wearing a KKK outfit? What if Vanilla Ice would have walked on the stage wearing a KKK outfit? It's just insane. It's just insane. Kanye being canceled is like not even a thing anymore. Kanye cancels himself and still goes strong. So there you have it. That's one of the few times we will talk about Kanye on this program. Black Press has other pressing things to do. And one of those things, Claudine Gay, the embattled president of Harvard, she's going to stay in her role. She stood her ground, and the faculty, the students, they stood behind her. Kudos to Harvard University. The highest the governing body there announced that following almost a week of the outcry over the testimony she gave at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism, they said this. They said, as members of the Harvard Corporation, we today reaffirm our support for President Gay's continued leadership of Harvard University. Our extensive deliberations affirm our confidence that President Gay is the right leader to help our community heal and to address the very serious societal issues we are facing. The board said in a statement also that President Gay has apologized for how she handled her congressional testimony and has committed to redoubling the university's fight against anti-Semitism. Yeah, yeah. Timothy Williams says good. She became the president. What was it, like 6 months ago? And just the second woman and the first Black person to lead that Ivy League institution. So you know the pressure. The pressure it's a pressure cooker. It's Ivy League. She's the first Black person, first woman, well, second woman, but the first Black woman, first Black, period. It was her and her counterparts at Pennsylvania and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Did I say Massachusetts? Well, that's how you said it when you was a kid. You didn't know how to say it. Massachusetts. MIT. They drew the criticism after they appeared at a House hearing last week and seemed to dodge a question of whether students calling for the genocide of Jews should be punished. And that was all pushed and shoved by Rep. Elise Stefanik, the Republican out of New York. And even though the President Gay said that type of speech is personally abhorrent to me, and she said it was at odds with the values of Harvard. So if it's personally abhorrent and it's at odds with the values of Harvard, what was Harvard, the governing board, what were they deliberating? They were deliberating whether to conjure up or allow these other fake charges against her, the plagiarism crap. Were they conjuring that? It should have been immediate. I mean, it's good that they came to their senses, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was not just faculty who was supporting Claudine Gay; it was the students. The students willed. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. They wield a great amount of power nowadays on these campuses. Power 96, yeah, he says, I am shocked, but some are still trying to get rid of her. She answered the question with a legal response, but those people wanted the moral answer. But the thing about it is, it seems that she gave both, though. She gave them what she felt personally. She doesn't want kids or anybody going around saying it's okay, genocide against the Jews or something like that, whatever it is. That she said that's abhorrent to her personally. And she said it's at odds with the values of Harvard. Now, was the board debating whether that is at odds with Harvard's values? If that's the case, then at least Stefanik should have an issue with Harvard's board, not the president. So there was nothing to deliberate. There was nothing to debate. There was nothing to consider, including those farcical. Did I say that right? I got to stop saying things that I have to ask if I said that right or not, right? But those false accusations. She was a student decades ago, and the folks who ultimately hired her was the folks who some folks, they now claim, oh, she plagiarized the paper. They're the ones who approved the paper all these years ago. I'll give it a rest. So right now, she's staying on board. And we say right now because, folks can turn on you in a dime. So we will see. But right now, she has the full-throated support of the governing body at Harvard. She has the full support of the students, which appear to be unwavering, and the support of faculty. Now, that is not necessarily unwavering, because once these false allegations came out of, or I should say, apparently false allegations came out about the plagiarism, there was someone that faculty was like, no, she can't stay. They were just fickle without hearing any evidence. And this is the problem that we've been talking about with the judicial system that goes on. Folks now are just presumed to be guilty, regardless of what Due process is no longer a thing. But for now, Claudine Gay remains Harvard's president. So here's a dilemma or a situation, which leads to a dilemma for some. According to the Associated Press, a small rural not Mississippi, but Missouri high school, 2 English teachers shared a secret. Both were posting adult content on OnlyFans, which is, of course, is the subscription-based. I gotta break it down for Austin. He doesn't know what that is. It's a subscription-based website known for sexually explicit content. The site and others like it provide an opportunity for those willing to dabble in pornography to earn extra money. Sometimes they earn a whole lot of it because there are so many perverts out there. The money is handy, especially in relatively low paying fields like teaching. And many post the content anonymously while trying to maintain their day jobs. But some outed teachers, as well as people in other prominent fields such as law, there are lawyers who are hitting the OnlyFans at night or other times when they're off work. They have lost their jobs. So it raises the question about personal freedoms and how far employers can go to avoid stigma related to their employees' after-hour activities. The industry has seen a boom, as they say, since the pandemic, and it is now believed that about 3 million people produce content on OnlyFans and Just for Fans and clips for sale. And that's according to the Free Speech Coalition, which is a trade association for the adult entertainment industry. I don't know why they call it adult entertainment. Like adults sit around and watch porn as entertainment. Anyway, that's another story. A recent report from the trade association found 3 in 5 adult entertainment. And those pictures, you see those pictures she flashed up there? No, I'm not into that stuff. Those people are ugly. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. I mean, they look creepy. Why would I pay money to see you? Anyway, it's again a whole nother story. A recent report from the trade association found 3 in 5 adult entertainment performers have experienced employment discrimination. The report is based on a survey of more than 600 people in the industry. They said 64% of adult creators have no other significant source of income. David chimes in, good morning. What's all the hullabaloo about? But here's the thing. Let's cut to the chase here, right? It's a question. First of all, should anybody be doing OnlyFans? Well, that's your business, right? That's your business. Should teachers be doing it? You're teaching these kids, and some of these teenagers are going and surfacing or whatever. I'm not saying what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just pointing some things out here. But here's the other question, particularly with teachers, lawyers, whatever, but particularly with teachers. So who's outing them and getting them fired? It's one thing if it's the students, but then you got to question, like in some cases have been other staff or faculty has outed. So to me, the first question, if I'm a principal or a superintendent and a principal or a teacher, another teacher comes, guess what? You need to know. I saw a teacher such and such on OnlyFans. My first question is, what were you doing watching it? I mean, I got a problem with you too. If I got a problem with the performer, I got a problem with the watcher. It's really interesting. Power 96 says now some people have you to believe the economy is so bad, but they are paying money to watch nudity. I wouldn't watch that for free. That crap for free, he said. Right. What happened to inflation is high, which is actually gone way down now. I don't know what the Biden people in the White House, they have done something there to change the fortunes. But nonetheless, the eggs are $10 a carton or a gallon, what, a 12 pack or whatever. See, I don't shop, do I? Milk, a gallon of milk is like $7. Power 96 is right. Where do people will spend on the weirdest stuff. Southbound 3000 says, this is why our schools are failing. If the system would pay teachers $85K starting pay, I bet education would be at the top for our students. I bet you're right. But here's the thing: would that still stop some of these teachers? And it's male and female, because there's the lawyer we was going to talk about in this story. Some male lawyers are OnlyFans performers. So it's not just females that are doing this; it's males too. Let's not get it twisted here, as they say. But we see, like, where a teacher, Kirsty, whatever her last name is, resigned after the students discovered her on OnlyFans. This is a story in the New York Post a year ago. Yaron Steinbach wrote that. I know Yaron. He wrote that story. And she looked okay. Let me refrain from saying what she looks like, but nonetheless, but that's the question: firing people, moonlighting in the adult industry. Is that something that they are justified in doing? In some cases, it's easy to argue absolutely. And in other cases, like, eh. But, you think about it. I know parents, okay, right. So there's going to be that strong opinion. It's wrong. They should not be firing them. Um, so that's part of the argument, right? Should they not be firing them? Because are they advertising to the school, to the teachers, to the students that they are doing this? Probably not. And for other teachers and faculty to go on OnlyFans and report, that if whatever consequence that person, the performer, is facing, the watcher should face in that case. And as far as the students are concerned, well, parents, I know parents are busy, but you should never be too busy to raise your child. And if your child's going on that stuff, then you need to have a talk with him or her. One of those taking the device away talks. It's just as simple as that. I'm not telling people how to live, but come on. This things are bad enough as they are in this crazy world we live in. And you know what that leads to. And we talked about just recently all these sexual assault lawsuits. Come on, a lot of that leads to that. You watching that stuff, it's going to lead to stuff like that, and has. And I will argue that point till the end of time. They have you got these kids with unrealistic expectations of women. And then they want to act out on it because they see somebody doing something just so unreal. Daniela Pierre says that if teachers were paid accordingly, perhaps they would not supplement their income on OnlyFans. Why don't they go to Walmart and supplement their income? Good Lord. Look, people gonna do what they want to do. I'm not trying to judge you. All I know, all I'm saying is that those who watch are feeding it, so they're just as culpable. They should be held to the same culpability as those who perform that stuff. Heck, you got some. Listen, they drinking water on Twitter and they getting money. So hey, and they're not doing anything else except drinking water. So I don't know what maybe they're not doing stuff that just because it says OnlyFans, maybe not doing stuff that your mind thinks that they're doing or may think that they're doing. Who knows? Who knows? So we're not here to condemn. Daniela Pierre says Walmart is not a supplemental income. That's more underpaid work. You can't win, Daniela, right? You can't win. You can't win. Look, folks, we're not telling you what to do. I'm like Power 96. I'm not watching. I'm not paying for that. All right. Let's move on. So the chairman, the chairman, not chairman, but the chairman, the black man captured on video wielding the folding chair and beating the snot out of folks with that chair. During the viral brawl in Montgomery's Riverfront Park has been ordered to perform community service. Reggie Bernard Ray, the 42-year-old chairman, had pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and received a 90-day suspended jail term, 50 hours of community service, and $357 in court fees. The August 5th incident started when the operators of that little boat refused to move their vessel away from where the Harriet II riverboat filled with passengers regularly docked. Several white people physically assaulted Damian Pickett, the black co-captain of Harriet II, who they brought charges against him after he and another crew member moved the boat themselves. According to the arresting officer's deposition, the body camera showed the chairman, Ray, repeatedly hitting a white man wearing shorts and no shirt with a folding chair. In another video, not mentioned in the deposition, he also strikes a white woman and knocked her down on the pier. 3 white men and a white woman pleaded guilty to misdemeanors, and Ray's was the final case resolved in court. He and his attorney, Virgil Ford, declined to talk to the media yesterday, but no doubt he has to be relieved that he's not getting any jail time. And Power 96 says he's buying several of the chairman's t-shirts. Yeah, you know, we bought that story a couple of weeks ago that they have their own t-shirt line now, and they look there. He says everybody else was profiting off of it. Why not him? So the chairman is not going to jail, and so now all the cases have been adjudicated, and so they can go back to living their lives again. Hopefully, we won't see Aquaman swimming across Black Aquaman swimming across the water to come to the rescue of another black boat captain. That is, a lot of folks are calling that like the story of the year. At the end of the year, news organizations put their top stories of the year together, and a lot of folks are saying that's the top story of the year. And why is that? Why is that with all the violence? Well, because it signified more than what it was, what it was on the surface. There was so much to that. To see Paradise 60, I watch that brawl at least once a week. Well, the backdrop, right? Trump was just there like the day before, and they had some sort of Klan thing or whatever going on there. And the history of that place is attached to, slavery and, racism. And a lot was going on at that time. It has been going on for a long time. And so when folks saw all this guy, the boat captain, was his job, and to be attacked, and then to see, like when he threw that hat up, the bat signal, the black signal, what's now the black signal, and to see help coming from all angles. Yeah, and that was the thing. That area was the 4th largest slave port in the USA. That's what made that larger than life. That it made it not just another fight, another brawl. It was much more than that. And that's why many are calling it the story of the year. And it also we often hear folks, particularly when it comes to black people, if y'all just stuck together, what you could accomplish. If you just stuck together, what you can accomplish. And they stuck together on that. And what they accomplished on that particular incident was perhaps even saving that man's life. Because those guys, it was what, 4 or 5 or more against one? Who knows how that could have ended? The water's there.
Good time. Anytime you need a payment. Good time. Anytime you need a friend. Good time. Anytime you're out from under. Not getting hassled, not getting hustled. Keeping your head above water. Making a way when you can. Temporary layoffs. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Good times. Hanging in a jar. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times.
There you have it. There you have it. You know, it's so funny because, speaking of good times, and, Norman Lear died recently. So that was in the news. And we've seen a lot about John Amos. And he and his son has been on social media a lot the last few years. And we're starting now to see a lot of Bernadette Stanis, the young woman who played Thelma, who was an extraordinary Broadway actress as well. People didn't know she's a dancer, choreographer, Broadway actress, immensely talented. And I saw a picture of her she posted not long ago with her daughters. And they're grown, of course, now. And just a really, she's always been a very talented individual, but a very good looking woman. There's not, and y'all gonna hate me for it. Some people gonna hate me for it. There's not this plastic surgery look to her at all. Just Thelma. I mean, look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I guess that because we grew up with her and JJ and the rest of them, right? But very nice. I don't see like this plastic face, high cheek, the whatever they do. Just natural. Aretha Franklin, natural woman. There you go. And still looks, you could see in that picture, you could see Thelma, right? Not Bernadette. You see Thelma. And look at her daughters. Very cute. Very cute. Boy, oh boy. I guess the only one that's missing that passed away from that cast earlier, the main cast, of course, was Esther Rolle. Great actress. So could never be another Good Times, right? Oh boy. So we turn our attention now. The U.S. auto safety regulators say that they have taken the first step toward requiring devices in vehicles that prevent drunk or impaired driving. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced yesterday that it is starting the process to put a new federal safety standard in place requiring the technology in all new passenger vehicles. Such devices were required in President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed by Congress in 2021. The agency said an advance notice of proposed making rules making will help it gather information about the state of technology to detect impaired driving. The regulations would set standards for the devices once technology is mature, according to the NHTSA. Now, this is probably going to take several years for the law to make its way through the process, and that law, the process, I should say, about for the law includes public comment periods. Just as a benchmark, in 2021, nearly 13, and this is the latest stats that are available. 2021, nearly 13,400 people were killed in drunken driving crashes, which cost, according to the federal government, it costs society about $280 billion in medical expenses, lost wages, and loss of quality of life. Alcohol impaired crash deaths hit nearly a 15-year high at the end of 2021, with more than 1,000 people dying. So they are trying to do this and require all new vehicles to have some sort of mechanism in which they can stop a person from driving. If they're impaired, they won't be able, the vehicle will not be able to operate. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they are trying to conjure it up. Speaking of good times, Power 96 says he still drives his Sanford and Son truck. I can visualize that too. And Monique Daniel says, they have something like that now for people who have been ticketed for DUI. You have to blow into the device to start the car. So, wow. And Southbound 3000 thinks that white individuals won't take kindly to that. He says he sees them protesting it. Why white individuals? Oh boy, I watched a movie yesterday about that drunk driving and stuff. The lady kills this guy's family drunk driving, and we watching this movie. It's an hour and 30 minutes. The guy gets this woman. He kidnaps her after she kills the family, and he makes her drink all this alcohol, makes her take all these sobriety tests and things of that nature. And we watching this. My wife gets drawn into the movie. And then at the end of the movie, right? He points, because she tries to get away or whatever. He points the gun at her, and you think he's going to shoot her or something dramatic's going to happen. Then it cuts to her waking up. It was the whole hour and something. Like remember Dallas, when the whole season was a dream? The whole movie was a dream. And my wife yells, "Oh my God, this was like because at the end they were like, he invites her to Christmas. The guy who the family, the girl kills his family. He invites her to Christmas dinner." My wife's like, "Oh my God, we spent an hour and a half on a Christmas movie?" We didn't know. We did not know. It was like it was a drama. And we're watching her try to escape from this man, and he's got her in handcuffs, and he's this doctor. He tased her at one point, then he shoots her up with something, and then she refuses to drink at one point this alcohol, and he lays her back on the thing. He gets all this medical equipment out, and she goes, "Okay, I'll drink it." And he's like, "I knew you're gonna drink it." It was crazy. Anyway, yeah. So don't drive drunk, folks. And it's holiday time. Speaking of a Christmas movie and all that stuff, it's holiday time. So this is the season where people drunk driving is not only up, but you need to know that law enforcement's radar is up for drunk driving too. They have checkpoints and everything, and marked and unmarked. They're going to be looking for you. So If you're gonna have something to drink, stay home. It's that simple. Don't get on the road. I mean, I have kids who drive. I drive. My wife drives. You drive. My sisters drive. My brothers drive. I don't want to hear that phone rings or that knock at the door. And you shouldn't want to either. That's a public service announcement from the Black Press of America. Illinois State University has apologized after at least one of its fans was accused of hurling racial slurs at a black player for Norfolk State University during a basketball game Saturday, leading to a confrontation between the team's coaches. The Norfolk State Spartans were ahead of the Illinois State Redbirds in the second half when the broadcast crew pointed out that one or two fans had made, quote, idiotic comments that were of a racial nature. The broadcasters added that Jamari Thomas of Norfolk State, which is an HBCU, was seen exchanging words with at least one of the fans before being reprimanded by an official. In a statement, they said the men's basketball game on Saturday between Illinois State and Norfolk was regrettably marred by the report of a racial slur directed at a Norfolk State player by an Illinois State fan. The ISU's Director of Athletic Communications said that the use of racial slurs and other offensive languages targeting people for their identity is abhorrent and is not tolerated by Illinois State University. Among Illinois State's core values are respect for others, diversity, and inclusion. Yeah, right. I had to say that. I just had to say it. Yeah, right. And then the thing about it is like the coach. Why was the coach trying to fight with Norfolk State's coach? Norfolk State coach Robert Jones posted on Twitter that he says, quote, "I'm not letting anybody call my players a racial slur. Those are my kids and I will fight for them. We have come too far in society to be called the N-word at a college basketball game," he said. I mean, he was visibly upset. It was players, his own players, was trying to keep him from walking onto the court. Then Illinois State coach Ryan Pendon aggressively confronts Jones. And then players from both teams rushed to the men's side. Some of the fans were removed. But, Jones and Pendon, they both got technical fouls. But Pendon, what were you standing up for the racist? He claims that he didn't initially hear what Jones was saying during the game, and he was wrong for allowing the situation to escalate. And yes, let me just highlight these couple of comments. Joni King says they'll protest because it's against constitutional rights. She was talking about the alcohol situation. And Power 96 says Uber and you can order alcohol online and it could be delivered. Look at that. Fans need to learn, he says. Buying a ticket doesn't give you the right to be disrespectful. And Southbound 3000 says another case of just shut up and dribble. Some might argue that Southbound 3000, and some might not. It's probably not the most settling thing to be playing in a college basketball game and hearing someone calling you constantly the N-word. And so this young man, I mean, these are young athletes. They're between the ages of 18 and 22. And that's the college age for athletes. And so can it perhaps, and listen, we saw LeBron James blow up at a fan not long ago, and he's not the only one, but we saw him blow up at a fan a couple of weeks ago. So he's 40 years old. So there are certain things, and we all know about the Honey Nut Cheerio comment from Kevin Garnett that set Anthony off into a rage. So you just there's certain things you've come to expect, not expect, because buying a ticket does not give you the right to do whatever you choose and say whatever you want. Look, they got no smoking signs throughout the arenas. You paid a grip to get in there, and they say you can't smoke, and they don't. And the fan, thanks, Power 96. So he did something quite similar to LeBron, which got LeBron up and ready to throw hands, called him boy. So absolutely. I'm not advocating that this guy. I mean, he didn't. It's not like he fought with the fan. He exchanged words with the fan, the player, and I don't advocate that either. But at the same time, you sometimes you got to put your feet in their shoes. And people say, "Oh, athletes are spoiled or whatever," and that may be true. But however, they are human. And that's the thing that fans must remember. They're human. And these fans now, in following this story, and remember this game was Saturday, have not seen any indication yet that these fans have been permanently banned. We've seen fans permanently banned for other things. They should be permanently banned. It shows you, to me, it shows you how serious Illinois State is really taking this. Not too serious at all. Now, put your foot down. And he mentions the Ron Artest, South by 2000. Man, that Ron Artest situation was the ugliest thing that ever happened. Just about one of the ugliest things. Perhaps the ugliest when you think about the fact that you have players literally in the stands throwing hands with fans. And when you watch that, there's they it was how would I say, what was the name of they called that particular brawl with Ron Artest, the Indiana Pacers. When you see that, like it happened like 20 years ago, I guess, but there it is. Oh boy, Greer is so good. I guess I gotta stop thinking that she's not that good. But this, I mean, he absolutely unloaded the fans here now, and then that's Jermaine O'Neal. But the fans precipitated that, and in that case, you understood even then. Just like I understand the coach at Norfolk State. He said Ron gave old boy a 2-piece and a biscuit. The malice in the palace is what it was called. Right. Thank you. You understood why that escalated. And that really fell on the shoulders of the NBA. And what's funny about the NBA is that they have not, I don't care if it's Spike Lee, but you have fans, celebrities and fans alike that can buy those seats right there next to the bench. And they have no guardrails. At least baseball, you got a dugout. Football, you have, that you're in the stands, the football players are out, and you got the sidelines and all of that other stuff and whatever. Basketball, they are right there. They still, despite that incident right there, the malice at the palace, they're still right there. And so that incident can still happen today. And we mentioned the LeBron incident. LeBron wanted to get at that guy. But that was one of the ugliest things you'll ever see. There's Rasheed Wallace in the picture, and oh, Big Ben right there. You don't want to trade hands with Big Ben. But it was a situation where the fans were throwing stuff, and then came onto the court as we saw in that picture. They were forced to defend themselves. It was a fight that started between Artest and Big Ben Wallace, and the fans got involved. As you see Big Ben saying he had enough of Ron Artest, and it exploded. It was one of the ugliest things that happened, and the fines and suspensions were enormous. But at the same time, they did expel some of those fans. I think a couple of them got hit with lifetime bans, as they should have. But it was one of the worst things to that point you've seen. I mean, there were some things that happened way back in the 70s at Shea Stadium with when the Jets played there. They had to stop the game because the fans were throwing things. Uh, and speaking of Shea Stadium, 1973, Pete Rose got into a fight during the National League Championship Series against the Mets, the Reds and the Mets, Bud Harrelson. And the fans were throwing batteries. Pete Rose was playing left field. They were throwing batteries and bottles at Pete Rose. And Willie Mays, the great Willie Mays, the greatest baseball player of all time, and Yogi Berra and I believe it was Tom Seaver went out to plead with the fans that this is not right during the game. Ben Wallace, Power 96 points out, was one of the few HBCU players to make it in the NBA, and he was a star in the NBA. He was a force in the NBA. I always wanted Ben Wallace on the Knicks, Power 96. And there is the Bud Harrelson, Pete Rose incident. Gosh, I was 5 years old when that happened, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was ugly. The Mets defeated the Reds in the National League Championship Series that year, went on to play the Oakland A's in the World Series. But after that fight, after that big brawl there at second base, as you see, everybody's throwing haymakers now. The fans just started throwing all types of objects at Pete Rose, who, as far as I was concerned, they could have clobbered him. I never liked Pete Rose. I always thought, I mean, he was a great hitter, but he was not as great all around as they claim he was. I mean, they gifted him gold gloves. He was not a gold glover. I mean, man. Timothy Williams says the fans at the college game tell players how to be to where they came from. I think I know what you're saying, but they can't allow that. I know in college a little bit different. And there you go. Another incident there. Baseball's had its share of incidents. Red Sox and Yankees had in 1967. Now those two teams, they had a serious history. I remember at 2003, 2002, maybe, when Pedro Martinez was involved. Yeah, you wrote that so wrong, Timothy. Pedro Martinez threw down the old coach, Don Zimmer. And Don Zimmer actually coached for both the Yankees and the Red Sox. But that was another ugly Yankee Red Sox brawl. It didn't involve the fans, but it was ugly. When you had old coaches being tossed to the ground and haymakers being thrown. And in fact, the Yankees and Red Sox have had the most classic of all brawls on baseball fields, both at Yankee Stadium and at Fenway Park. Wow. Tino Martinez, when he got hit by a Roger Clemens pitch when Roger was pitching for the Red Sox, and Roger, of course, went on to pitch for the Yankees too, and start brawls by hitting people. He was a goon. People love Roger Clemens. He was a goon. It's a goon, not in the Hall of Fame. Oh, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Shame where he belongs. He's a goon. So we end the program today with goons, and not my man from Norfolk State. You see on the picture, he's not a goon. He handled himself very well. They were telling Timothy says they were telling the black football players to go back to where they came from. Hmm. Well, we saw an incident not long ago, right? There's a women's team, an HBCU women's, I believe it was a lacrosse team going down south, and they got harassed by the state troopers. Talking about they were looking for drugs on their team bus, just black girls. So it's really interesting. I wrote a commentary that it's on our internal news wire. One day uh, it'll get on our main front facing page, Black Press USA, and it was about the fact that I read this article in Sports Illustrated about not Sports Illustrated, CNN Business about them going in on Elon Musk, which they should. But how hard they're going in on him and others with the anti-Semitism, and they should, but how African Americans, the history of African Americans, no one goes hard at all on systemic racism. And that is the premise of the article that you will soon see in our newspapers. Where is the advocacy for that? The slave master, I always say this, the slave master received reparations. And there was Reconstruction and Jim Crow. And of course, we talked yesterday about the firefighters and the civil rights movement, letting black babies and black people burn in fires. And the only thing that they would turn the hose on was people. Black people. Gentrification, redlining, mass incarceration. That's all in the article. I got motivated by Barrington yesterday. Barrington's article in the Florida Phoenix. You go back and read that too. That's just the way of the world. As Earth, Wind, and Fire sings, that's the way of the world. Thanks for watching. Let it be known. We will see you again tomorrow.